Excellencies, old friends, business partners from around the world. I've even seen 20 or 30 former GE employees. It's great to see everybody here today. 10 years ago, if you had told me that this kind of exhibit would exist in Riyadh, in the Global Health Exhibit, I would have never believed it. If you told me that there were going to be announcements from Sanofi and Novo Nordisk, I wouldn't have believed it. But here we stand today, because we can see the art of the possible, right? We can imagine, we can see, we can feel, and that's what we see in the booth, and that's the way I've been trained to think throughout my career. So congratulations on all you've done, but think about what the next 10 years can bring, and what's the art of the possible for the kingdom as you look forward in the future. The Ministry of Health is on a journey. The minister talked about the transformation. Sometimes the first step is the easiest step, but it's the grind to go through and drive change that's really the most important. I come to you today as a global investor, someone who's spent decades in the kingdom and in healthcare, and I'm here to tell you how important this journey is and how important this journey can be. For a business person, knowing what to do is typically easy. It's knowing when to do it, which is the hard part. And the fact of the matter is that the time to think about investing even bigger in the kingdom, even bigger in healthcare is right now. The best time to invest is once change has started, but before all the benefits have been realized. Vision 2030 has really made investing in the kingdom quite easy, quite straightforward. I can give you 30 years of experience before Vision 2030 to explain to you sometimes how challenging it's been. But today is different. And I think the minister has put a healthcare face on the ability to invest and grow in the kingdom. This is a market of 40 million people, but it's a market that has the chance to play much bigger than that role. We've seen it in the energy sector, we've seen it in the financial sector, and I'm pretty convinced that we'll see it in the health sector as well. I'd like you to think a little bit about the art of the possible in the context of global health. I come out of the developed world. That's mainly where healthcare professionals have lived. But I would say if you're interested in really changing the arc of healthcare and improving outcomes and lower cost, it's quite challenged in the developed world. With an aging population, with mismatched incentives, and an aged infrastructure, sometimes realizing the goals of value-based care, affordable care organizations, is quite difficult. So I think when you sit in the kingdom today, there's a chance not just to improve healthcare, but to leapfrog developed world systems, to leapfrog the systems that have long been considered the leaders in healthcare. Given an opportunity with a young population, a digitized population, one that's got the type of alignment that the minister has talked about and connected to the region, this has to become a bigger platform in the global healthcare market. But in order to do that, two things have to exist. One is the external world of global innovation has to move closer to the kingdom, has to be localized in the kingdom. And the second one is we have to continue to build this foundation that makes innovation so investable. Those are the two things, those are the most exciting things, and that's how you create the art of the possible. Since leaving GE, I've spent my time as a healthcare investor, both personally and with a venture capital setting. Here are the areas that I've worked on life sciences, biotech manufacturing, driving consumer health, healthcare systems. But I'm always looking for what are the problems to be solved? And how do you build a business around it? And how do you drive it at scale? And I think when you look at the world of healthcare today, if you look at the merger of physical and digital, there's probably 2 or 3 big segments that should be localized, that should be invested in, and can grow in even faster in the kingdom. One we've already seen this morning in bioprocess manufacturing, starting with insulin, but there's going to be even more significant opportunities in the future. One is with tech-enabled services. Areas like radiology and nephrology can be big platforms, can be countrywide platforms, and innovative platforms in the kingdom. And the last one is with population health. You've seen the virtual hospital. You've seen the digital tools that the minister talked about. These are going to be able to drive innovation, local innovation, that will have a global context even faster. The last piece, I think, of innovation is to bring artificial intelligence more substantially into the kingdom. You've all seen it, you've heard about it this morning. I think, again, with a broadly digital country, and one that's got alignment between platforms, you can really drive tremendous amount of change with artificial intelligence. Physicians can be more effective from a diagnostic standpoint. Data can be used to really drive tremendous access and population health. And with the shortage of labor in the healthcare sector, the ability to take more of the administrative burden. So the idea isn't to walk through this hall to look at it from a context of where is all the innovation happening. It's to try to figure out how we can drive superior outcomes in the kingdom. And that is what's truly exciting and important. So externally, what makes the future bright is all the innovation and how it can be localized. Internally, it's really the ability for the ministry to build a consistent platform. We've talked about the health holding company. We've talked about the massive private sector and the potential to drive substantial gains there. The ability to have alignment between insurance and providers with significant opportunity. I think, again, the keys to really building a unified system is scale. It's the ability to drive standards and priorities, and data and tools, and having a long-term view. If you want to drive healthcare quality up, reduce cost, if you want to drive a value-based system and accountable care organizations, scale, data, priorities, and long-term view are the things that you really need. And that's what I see happening in the kingdom. That's why I spend time here, and that's where it's really the most exciting. Now, the gap, or a gap, that still exists in the kingdom is the ability to build an even bigger entrepreneurial network. And that remains something that I think is highly solvable and something that I'm working personally with the minister and others to help achieve. We sit in the country with the world's biggest limited partner, right? The kingdom invests, broadly speaking, globally, and is the limited partner of choice, but there's still not a big enough entrepreneurial network, particularly in healthcare, in the kingdom. It's growing faster in tech than it is in healthcare, but that opportunity still exists. So as I see it, the opportunity to continue to expand and drive innovation has to do with creating really dedicated venture funds that have both global venture firms, local capital coming together to create new companies. It's bringing existing startups into the kingdom, creating new companies that are jointly developed, jointly funded, and advanced in growth. And it's having an incubation process that can really drive and accelerate venture in the kingdom. So as you're improving the healthcare system, it's important to also create companies to create jobs, and that's, I think, a huge potential that still exists. I remember when Dr. Al-Habib started his hospital, it was very small, and I was trying to sell him MR scanners and CT scanners, and now I come back and see a $26 billion company, and you see that's what's possible, right? That's the entrepreneurial spirit, and that's what's possible coming from the kingdom. So, platform for innovation, a regulatory platform that gives alignment between insurance and providers, and an investment platform. Do those three things, and this will continue to generate tremendous growth in the future. You're creating an ecosystem. The kingdom has an ecosystem in energy. It has an ecosystem in financial services. This is going to create an ecosystem in healthcare that's based on superior delivery, more investing, better innovation, and ultimately more talent to drive both. Physician talent, executive talent, regulatory talent to drive this network and make this really a vibrant part of Vision 2030. And that's the art of the possible. Now, I'm going to spend my final moment here talking to the global investment community in the audience today, the global investment community in the audience today. In 2012, I sat in the offices of Aramco, and Khalid Al-Fallah, our great excellency Minister of Investment, was CEO, and he said to me, "Jeff, you're here to sell me stuff, but you're not a partner. You're a tourist, you're not a partner." And, you know, I didn't love that, but I had to admit that he was right. And so we made the commitment to invest $1 billion in localizing capability in the kingdom in that year. And in the subsequent 3 years, we invested $3 billion more, and those investments have paid off 1,000-fold in subsequent time. So for my colleagues in multinationals, you've got to really redesign how you think about globalization if we really want to be effective in the kingdom. You've got to kind of act local and connect globally. And a good global leader, a good systems leader, is going to do three things. You're just going to localize more. You know, next year, we need to see your bosses here, not just you. We need to see more announcements of multinational companies, not just a few. And we've got to get more talent on the ground. You've got to invest in great local talent. I run into GE executives in ministries, in companies, every place across the kingdom, because we cared about people. And play to win. Drive a growth play. Grow as the kingdom grows. Connect as the kingdom connects. And that can be your future. So, why am I here today? This is a market that is more important than just the size of its population. It's more important than just the size of the population. It gives you a chance to invest behind country initiatives that have momentum. And I think if you're a healthcare executive and you want to see the future, look, I've been talking about value-based care for 30 years, and I haven't seen it work. So I'd like to spend my time in countries and in regions that really do have a chance to redesign healthcare. So it's so much fun to be here. It's so much fun to see the art of the possible in this booth. But my challenge to all of us is to say, this is only a first step, not a last step. Let's see where we go next. Thank you.